Good afternoon. My name is Derrick Cook. I'm from the Bainbridge campus. I'm a senior over there. My midterm project, I chose Greece. I did a strategic analysis of Greece's tourism sector of their economy and also their maritime sector. Pathways to Sustainable Economic Growth was my title. You'll see some different graphics. I'll speak on some of them. I won't speak on all of them. Have about 17 slides. I'll speak on some of the slides, the information included. Some of it I won't, just due to time constraints. Another thing to note, you will see information from 2020 up through 2025. If you see different information based off of the year, that's why. Industries. Tourism. Approximately 20 million tourists visit Greece every year, making it the 7th most visited country in the EU and the 16th most in the world. Merchant shipping. Greece has the largest merchant marine in the world, covering 16% of the world's total capacity. And I included some graphics here, different things from around Greece, and we'll speak about those as we go. This is a purely informative data slide. I don't have time to get into all of these things, but just keep some of these things in your mind. I mentioned gross domestic product. We will speak a little bit about those as we go. GDP growth rate. These I just included inflation rate, exchange rate, trade balance, and unemployment rate. This is just a purely informational slide. I don't have time to get into it, so that's why I mentioned it in that way. Okay, overview of tourism. I included a graphic here. You can see some of the information from 2020 and 2021. I'll mention a couple of things on this slide and then we'll keep moving. Tourism accounts for approximately 20% of Greece's GDP, making it one of the country's most vital economic sectors. Tourism is highly seasonal, peaking in the summer months, which creates challenges in employment, stability, and regional development. Greece is a prominent cruise destination in the eastern Mediterranean, further expanding its tourism revenue through port services and excursions. And I'll mention some things relating to that in just a little bit. Next slide. Our class is international business, so here's some foreign direct investment points to make. Major U.S. hospitality brands, you may know these or recognize these. Wyndham, Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt are well established in the Greek tourism sector. Global positioning and competitive advantage. In my research, and you'll see on a later slide, it gives a better graphic. Greece is right in a good spot geographically that contributes to its competitive advantage in my research, in my opinion. And I'll show you a graphic in just a minute that explains that a little bit more. Historic landmarks and cultural heritage sites significantly contribute to why people want to go to Greece to begin with. Government regulations. Here are some things I mentioned earlier relating to regulations and policies. Greece aims to attract over 35 million tourists and achieve a 10% revenue increase, and those are euros, 22 billion by 2025. That's what I mentioned. You'll see some different years here. That was the most recent that I had found. Businesses are encouraged to offer eco-friendly accommodations, culturally immersive experience tailored to diverse tourist preferences. And we'll mention a little bit about those as we go. This I thought was neat. This was just neat to me. Technology and innovation. If you're a techno person, you may like this. So there's an app out there that you can download on your phone. And if you go to one of these historical sites, you can take a photo. And this app will process this photo of this landmark, and it will give you a picture of what it used to look like. So if you see ruins and you are wondering, I wonder what that used to look like, it'll provide it for you. That's something that Greece has put out there as far as, or emphasized rather, in their attempts to draw people to Greece through the technology. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say right there. No, let's keep going. Okay, tourism, economic recovery and stability. How many of you guys remember COVID? Do you remember COVID? 2020, 2019, shut the world down. Okay, prior to that, Greece was already in trouble economically. And they had been set up with IMF and the World Bank. And they had things in place to help their economy recover prior to COVID. Okay, then COVID hit. That backed everything up, in my estimation, several years. It backed up their recovery efforts. With tourism being a major player in their economy sector, the COVID really hurt them. Since then, they're on a better path to recovery. And the reason I bring that up is I feel that in my research that Greece would be further along economically in recovery had it not been for COVID. That's the whole point of me sharing that. For that point. Tourism sector resilience. We spoke about that. There it is right there. COVID-19 pandemic shut it down. Growth opportunities for tourism, diversification of tourism products, digital transformation, year-round tourism, sustainable development. Eco-friendly infrastructure and responsible tourism practices can attract environmentally conscious travelers while preserving Greece's natural and cultural assets. Challenges, infrastructure limitations, environmental pressures, local market gaps, to name a few. So I'm going to keep going here. Future outlooks, strategic investment. We spoke about foreign direct investment. I believe that will continue. You'll see more and more U.S. companies, I feel, invest further into that. Policy reforms, okay. Destination management, workforce development, and marketing and branding. I'm going to skip ahead to maritime trade. Okay, this is what I wanted to get to. This graphic right here. You see Greece? That's the red one. Greece is the red one right there, or orange if you want to say that, or pink if you want to say that. But all that around it is the Mediterranean. All of those countries around it trade with Greece. So they're in a good spot. They have a good competitive advantage just geographically to begin with. All right, I'm going to skip to this one. The shipping industry contributes to an estimated 67% to the national GDP, reflecting its critical importance to economic output. There's just a graphic. I'm going to hit some of these high points. I'm about to run out of time. But you can see ownership of the EU merchant fleet, you know, the big one, EU, that's Greece, the blue one right there. So they're a major player in the EU with dealing with maritime trade. I'm going to skip ahead real quick. Growth opportunities, job creation, maritime trade. 85,000 to 150,000 jobs are directly or indirectly linked to maritime activities of Greece. Something fascinating, we'll end with this. Something fascinating I found about these. Do you guys know what those shipping containers are called? They're called TEUs. And what they do is things that are shipped by vessels are placed into this thing. It can be all kinds of stuff. They can have all kinds of stuff packed in those TEUs. And they're 20, I forget the exact breakdown, but they're container vessels, container ship. And they put those on vessels. Now the amount of TEUs that can go on the vessel depends on the classification of the vessel. What that means, what does that mean? Bigger vessel, more TEUs. Smaller vessel, smaller TEUs. That's what that means. Okay, tax revenues. In part of Greece's economic recovery, taxes were put in place. One is a green tax, which is not getting a lot of tread. It makes a lot more sense in theory. Application, people are pushing back on it, of course, because it's taxing their income, their revenues. But it's needed to get the economy turned around. the taxes that they do receive have been strategically reinvested into national development priorities. So, and I don't have time to go through all of these, but just so you know that taxes have been put in place to help with economic recovery. In many ways, the adage of as Greece goes, so goes the world may increasingly define the trajectory of international maritime policy and practice. I didn't really buy that until I started doing research. And because of where they are and the people that they interact with, countries, I'm inclined to believe that that may be true. As things go through that country, so does that region of the world. And that as we grow forward in the future, we're more not saying that properly. We're connected. We're more connected as we go. And so I'm inclined to believe that. Okay, here's some references. And I'm going to take a couple of questions. If you have a question I cannot answer, here's my email. If you will email me, I will try to find out for you. But I'll field a couple of questions. Anybody got any questions? Shoot. That's hard to answer. There's not one thing that I can point to in my research that says, okay, well, it was this. Or, no, it was this. It was a multitude of things, which causes it to have a multitude of solutions, which we spoke about earlier, taxes and the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, being able to provide them with solutions, but they had to do things to put in place. If you would like further clarification on that answer, email me, and I'll get it for you. To give you the best value on what you are doing in your business. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have a business that has a marketing department, IT department, HR department, let's see, what else? Research and development department, and they bring you in and say, oh, we're doing the best we can do. Well, we would have to go through each department and figure out what it is you're doing and what it is you're trying to accomplish. Because there's two things that I look to when I think about things like that. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Like, what's your end goal? And then also, what's the most important to you? Because what's most important to you may not be your end goal. And that can get kind of sticky sometimes. It's like, well, what do you mean? What's important to me? We make money. Is it? Is that what is most important to you? Because if it is, then that's the only value you will get out of it. For instance, you pay somebody a salary, an hourly salary, base salary. What's the value of that employee? Is it just their salary? Or can that individual provide you more value than what you're paying them? Miss Tatiana shares a story of her father who used to work as an engineer. He come up with an invention. Okay, an invention for the company that made him a lot of money. What's his value? Is it just his salary? Or is it all of the money that the company got because he come up with that invention? Things like that. To bring it back around to each department, I would evaluate each department, find out what it is we're doing, what is the strategic goals of the company, what are we trying to do, and then come up with a strategic analysis of each one and present that to the owner, the board, or the manager, whoever's running the company, and then go from there and say, here's where I think you could improve. You don't have to do these things, but here's some things, and here's some data that goes along to it. That's the route I would take. Specifically relating to Greece, it is the location, in my opinion, that gives them a competitive advantage. Okay, yeah, you can go and visit any country. Okay, how are you going to get there? Can you get there by plane? Can you get there by train? Can you get there by boat? You can do all those things in Greece. You can get there by plane, you can get there by train, you can get there by boat. That is the beginning, in my opinion, okay? Greek has a large cultural history, many different landmarks all around the countries. All countries don't have that. Professor Tatiana was originally from Yugoslavia. Ukraine. I'm sorry, Ukraine. Guess what's going on in Ukraine right now? And has been for the last 4 years. A big war, right? So let's pretend that Greece was going through the same thing. All of those landmarks and all of the things that may draw people to that specific country are getting smashed because they're going through a war. That's another example. Okay. To me, I think Greece's position, the things that they can do, the things that they are good at, as the professor has mentioned many times in our international business class, you need to do things you're good at. That's your strength. Keep going with your strength and then bring your weaknesses along, and you improve your weaknesses a little bit along, and you keep going with your strengths. Their strengths are tourism, because of geographically, and in my opinion, and maritime trading. They're right there on the Mediterranean. Things going by all the time, in and out. I looked up there. I found this kind of interesting side note. Anybody know Greece is #1 export? Just take a guess. It's not olive oil. Take a guess. No. It's unrefined fuel. Okay, that's their #1 export. Looked this up yesterday. You can Google it yourself. Tell me if I'm wrong. #1 export, unrefined fuel. So what's their #1 import, you think? To be honest with you, I don't know. But guess what their #2 import is? Unrefined fuel. So wait a minute. Derrick, you just told me that unrefined fuel is their #1 export. Yes, I did. You're telling me that their #2 import is unrefined fuel? Yes, I did. Well, how's that possible? Because they're making money. According to what I read yesterday, by about $2 billion, they're exporting more than they're importing. So they're making money. Well, why would they do that? My wife asked me this. Well, why would they do that? Because they're making money. They've got all this unrefined fuel, and they're like, well, what can we do with it? Well, we provide it to our citizens. We can do it with our businesses. What are we going to do with this? Well, if we put it on the market, we can make some money doing that. Yeah.
Go ahead and wrap up your response.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got carried away. Did that help? If that wasn't what you were looking for, please email me, and I'll do a better job.
All right,
Thank you.